am recording now.
All right, really? So we're on live?
I think is this thing
recording?
On?
Tap. Yeah. Well, I just have to tell you, I took my allergy medicine today, so I'm a little. It's kind of. It'd be like you drinking a 6-pack. Okay. I mean, seriously, I'm sitting here. I'm going, man, I am tired. But we survived.
Yeah.
Okay, we survived the Facebook outage yesterday, so we're here. So that's a good thing.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
be speaking a little slower. Yeah. Well, a lot of things. It's funny. So when we sit down and we start looking at how we're going to approach each podcast, so many things jump up on our radar. I mean, my God, it's funny because. So we were talking earlier before it gets going, where I tend to be scanning more of the news articles and more of the things that have this. I would say somebody's interpretation of content,
right?
And in my cohort here is really good at getting the social aspect of it, what the guy on the street is responding to.
Yeah, I want to see why he's crying.
I think and it's funny. Yeah, I mean, some of these. I wish you can hear some of the conversations that come out of these, because it's some of them we just don't want to record because they're just a little bizarre. But some of them are just extremely funny. And we got to talking about Houston made a list again, and Houston makes the top 25 cities with the most aggressive drivers. Now, honestly, I didn't look at the list to see how it ranked in that 25, but I don't really want to hear about anything. If we're not number one, I don't want to be on this list.
They say aggressive, and I say deliberate.
Yeah, well, hey, we got a place to go, so we're going to get there. But what's funny about Houston, I don't think it's fair to call it aggressive driving, okay?
I am curious as to what their metrics are for defining aggressive.
Well, I would say shame on me. I didn't go to the article and I didn't look at any of it because you get tired of hearing it. So I just was kind of flipping through the internet a little bit, and I run across a couple stories. And one of them was Pennsylvania apparently has road rage problems because there's a guy, I believe he's in an Uber car, and he's riding with the driver, and the driver is singing Christmas songs, and it's March. And I guess the guy in the back seat has had enough of this, and he starts to choke the dude while he's driving.
That is freaking hysterical.
Yeah, so needless to say, he got arrested for that. So, but the one that really wins it for us is the school bus driver.
That one was hilarious.
So, a lady school bus driver, she's driving these. It's like 8th grade and junior high kids to school, and they're acting up in the bus. She's driving erratically.
Wasn't she? Did she turn out to be?
Yeah, she turned out to be like hammered. So she was driving erratically, and she was taking a different route than the kids are used to. So they started giving her a hard time about that. She told them to go fuck off. Just turn around, fuck off, you little bastards. And so that went on for a little bit. She finally got tired of them, and she pulled into a gas station.
Now in the 80s.
And abandoned them. I mean, just left them in a bus and took off with her boyfriend. I mean, it was like gone.
In the 80s, a bus driver probably telling us to fuck off. We probably would have shut the hell up until we got to the bus. Nowadays, I'm going to tell on you.
Yeah, well, the camera gives it away. I mean, there's no bus out there that doesn't have a camera anymore. Yeah. So, and it's sad because, I mean, you're paying for your kids' transportation to and from school. You definitely want them safe, but there's a lot of don'ts on a bus. Like, it's against law to back up a bus with students in it because it's endangerment. That's one of the things they don't want you to do is go in reverse with a bunch of kids in the bus. They want you to keep going forward, making your turns. That's one thing in traffic. In traffic. Yeah. And so, it's funny because she just had enough of these little bastards. Jumped off the bus and took off.
If they had sexier bus drivers, they could actually monetize that and just open up that web camera to all kinds of stuff.
So it would be like a party bus in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hot for Teacher would be playing.
Yeah, I'd invest.
Yeah. I hear the business opportunity. We have enough problems with teachers having sex with kids. This would just basically
that was a problem we wished. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Back when I was in school, I can only maybe count on 3 fingers.
Yeah.
The number of teachers that I could actually say, man, she was actually kind of hot.
Yeah, same way here. They were generally Aunt B looking kind of
matronly.
Matronly.
Yeah.
And if you go to Catholic school, well, they're all
I can attest from my experience there wasn't a nun out there where I'd go, boy, I'd like to see what's up underneath that skirt.
Yeah, no. So that was just weird. But yeah, I thought those two had to be in the top 10 for sure. Because I mean, my God, that's just crazy. But I don't know. I mean, driving in Texas, in general, how do you know if it's a Texan? First of all,
yeah,
because we have so many people flooding over here now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a native Texan, but I got here as quick as I could. Married a Texan, that makes me kind of a Texan, and I've been here long enough to know that when you're out of town, you're going to drive like an idiot. Because they just do. They just do. Or out of country. I tell you, even worse.
Like one of the complaints that I hear, or people that are not from here complain about, is they'll bring up 610 loop.
Right.
So and 610 has showed up in a lot of different articles about how confusing it is. But because I live here, it's, to me it makes sort of sense. But I don't have another design. I just kind of run with what's here.
So what I don't understand about 610 is Houston has concentric traffic loops around the city.
Right.
Hear me again. Concentric circles around the city. One of the few cities in the nation that basically have a crosshairs of highways through it. And then just drew circles around the crosshairs. How hard is that shit? Seriously. I mean, honestly, you have 610 and Beltway 8 and 99 now.
Right.
So we actually have 3 layers of Beltway around this city.
Right.
How do you not get that figured out? The city I hate driving in is Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
635 sucks. Even the tollways suck up there. It's brutal driving up there.
For the few times that I had to go to Dallas, I was fortunate enough to say the majority of those trips to Dallas, I flew in.
Yeah.
I don't mind flying into Dallas,
right?
Because I was flying into Love Field.
Oh yeah.
And wherever I was having to go, it basically was sort of around the corner from the airport.
Right.
So for me, I never really complained. But when I had to pass through Dallas or Fort Worth to go to someplace north, I despise going through that area for traffic.
Dallas has some wonderful neighborhoods up there. They really do. They're very nice places to live. The problem is there's so many people concentrated in that metroplex that in the mornings your commute is just brutal. I mean, you've got to give yourself an hour and a half just to get across town, and it's, I don't know. I mean, you've heard solutions like, well, maybe we should start a certain area code at this time of the day. Your start time should be this time of the day.
Right.
The next area code should come an hour in later, a half hour later. That should alleviate traffic. There's all kinds of options out there.
So they're applying process controls.
Control to the traffic. But, that and that may or may not work. I don't know. But going back to the bad drivers, we were talking about what's the best way as a driver to communicate with other drivers around you?
It depends on what the message you're going to convey.
Yeah, well, the middle finger definitely just starts fights.
Yeah.
So we were talking about LED signs.
Yes.
So you can actually go to Amazon.
Yes.
Okay. And you surf the interweb and find you some kind of neon sign or the LED sign. I mean.
Yeah, because they have they have all the price points you're looking for.
Yeah, and then I'm sure you can program scrolling circle messages.
There was some of the ones that I was looking at that where I would say here's a price range that I would be okay with. The ones that I looked at had these handheld controls that basically allowed you program on the fly from the driver's seat.
Well, no, we have distracted drivers enough as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Now. So I don't know if that, but if you had pre-programmed this messages and it was like the button number 1 was for this message, button number 2 is for this message,
right?
That might be easier, or even a verbal app where you can talk into the app.
So the whole this I was telling you sort of my experience the other day with. So I took my parents to lunch over in Tomball. So we're headed over to Tejas.
We'll give those guys a shout out. They're a good bunch of people.
Yeah. So is it Tejas Chocolatery?
Yeah. Okay. Craftery. Yeah, chocolate craftery.
So anyway, as we're going there, every single stoplight that I was at from the moment I exited my neighborhood to just before I hit the major highway to drive to Tomball, there was basically a distracted driver.
Oh yeah.
So we would go through like 3 and 4 cycles of the light before we could actually get through, and this has always been sort of a pet peeve of mine. Is, how is it you can't pay attention to the main task at hand? Fucking drive.
Right.
Because the way that sort of society is going now with of the things that I read, you're starting to see they want people to be nicer, kinder, don't say anything that would be, derogatory or make somebody feel bad. So I'm thinking the device or the thing that they will remove from all vehicles eventually will be a fucking horn. They're going to take the horn because the horn startles people. They can't. They'll have a mental breakdown because somebody honked the horn at them.
Sure.
So that's what I'm waiting, is the horn to be removed, and then how else do you communicate other than just be patient and wait for the dude to finish his fucking text?
Right. No, I think it's funny because I think you should be charged for every honk that you. I put a meter on the horn.
I lock and load.
Yeah, put a meter on the horn, and every time you honk, it's $1. And you only get 10 honks, and you have to go back and pay $100 to recharge your horn because. I personally get tired. I'm pretty patient at traffic when that happens, but it seems like it's getting worse and worse where people are lingering through lights and on their damn phone.
And then you get so I've been flipped off plenty of times because I lay on the horn. But then I'm like, okay, if you break it down as to what just unfolded here.
Right.
A light went from red to green, which you're supposed to leave, but you're trying to explain to me that because you were looking elsewhere, that was more important than moving forward, which, if you're on the streets, according to the Department of Public Safety, they want you to not be a hazard in the roadway. You're kind of being a hazard by not moving.
Right.
So, but then then I'll get flipped off because I laid on the horn. And mainly because I hurt their feelings or whatever.
Right. So. No, So Tejas, let's go back to the fun stuff. So you've been there. Now you've been there before, right?
Oh yeah. Because it was like a couple of years ago when our little group got together
over there. Yeah. Because Scott and Greg, they're all pretty good people. I mean, and Michelle, shout out to all those people there that run that business. Wonderful people. Yeah. They're very, very friendly. They got Just Deserves in Texas Monthly last year, which really gave them a good jump. What I like about the way they do barbecue is because you and I were talking the other day. Shit, there's another barbecue place opening up now.
Yeah.
Another institutionalized barbecue.
Corky's.
Yeah. So I hope they make it. Hey, good luck. All that stuff like that. But what's nice about these guys over there is it's all handmade stuff. Now, and it is some good stuff. I mean, their sides are fantastic.
Oh, their sides are to die for. But this particular time was a little bit more personal because the staff there, 2 of them in particular, recognized sort of what's going on. Okay, so they recognized the disabilities of my parents,
right?
And then they recognized sort of what was going on with my mom,
right?
So they took great care in wanting to find out, hey, that the meal that we suggested for your mom, because like I described to them, as my mom normally is like a plain vanilla person. Slap a piece of bologna on a piece of bread, she'll be happy. But I wanted her to have an experience, so serve it in the way that you like to have it. Right. So they gave her the works, and I remember looking at her face when she bit into this thing, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is absolutely delicious." And then these people later on came to the table to actually ask about, hey, how did you like that sandwich that we recommended for you? Because I told them, is my mom doesn't know to broaden her horizons. I do it for her. She just eats whatever's placed before her, and she absolutely loved this meal.
Well, if you ever get a chance, run out there. They're at 200 North Elm Street in Tomball, Texas. Tell them that the guys at Whiskey and the Water Cooler sent you.
Yes.
And they'll either throw you out or they'll welcome you with open arms. But It's one of our favorite places to go.
Get some chocolate on the way out. So
there you go. So let's move on to some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to kind of give you the reins here on this one because which one do you want to start on? Because there's so many fun things happening right now.
Okay, so the most, I guess the outage?
Yeah, we can talk about the outage. That'd be fine. Yeah, did we all? I mean, I wonder how many people committed Harry Carey because they couldn't use Facebook yesterday or Twitter, or not Twitter, but Instagram.
If you survive the outage, go to the podcast and let us know.
That's right. Yeah, let us know.
Just give us a thumbs up.
We want to make sure everybody's okay here.
Baby steps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's funny because we kind of talked about this before we went live. And we both kind of feel the same way about this shutdown.
The timing?
Yeah, the timing of it was just perfect because being the conspiratorial duo that we can be.
And it makes it for a more interesting conversation,
right,
even if it may be bullshit.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to believe. So it affected basically North America, South America, Central America, and part of Europe.
Right.
So, okay, that's pretty much the free world.
Almost all the land masses.
Yeah, almost all the land masses. And Asia, because they don't have it.
Yes.
So, anyway, so you can go ahead and, I've primed the round. You load the barrel because I think that we both agree on this.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say to this outage is I read somewhere that because the outage was so prevalent and people had basically a lot of free time, that the porn websites experienced some of the highest traffic from normal working hours, which to me is normally like 8 to 5. They experienced some of the highest server usage historically for them because of this Facebook outage, and then it slowly dropped off once it hit like 5 o'clock. So good for y'all guys. You made your paper.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I promise. So. So I can't talk to my friends, so I'm gonna go look at some boobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, that's funny, man. And at work, no less.
At work, yes.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
So,
that's crazy.
But the timing of the outage, when I got to thinking about it, is with all the stories that are circulating now with the college admissions deal, and okay, what else? Okay, well, actually with AOC, anything that's going on within the government, anything that's embarrassing.
So one of the embarrassing things that came up was basically a news story on Strzok claims that the DOJ bargained with Clinton to prevent the FBI from looking into the Clinton Foundation emails.
Okay.
That story broke right about the time that Facebook just went down.
And that's sort of my point is for the most part, there's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth just on the medium of Facebook. Well,
that was one of the big ones. That was the big one. And another one was where they're trying to vote down the emergency funding for the border crisis.
Okay.
Because that's a battle that's going back and forth. So those two big stories were rolling up right about the time this thing crashed. So what do? You crash the system and you introduce a new story. So the new story that's been introduced is this college admissions scandal.
Okay.
Okay. This thing did not lose traction. Okay. It did not. It literally snowballed.
Okay.
Okay. So the second order effect of that outage is that this story got more hype throughout the media masses than anything else out there.
The admissions deal?
The admissions deal.
Well, because I was thinking that just having the outage happen gave now you had people talking about an event rather than this controversy surrounding the government, the release of documents, the voting on funding, and or the embarrassing stuff happening with these Hollywood elites, basically circumventing the system.
Well, they're not going to let that go because again, this is the elitist class taking things away from other people. You got to remember, you got candidates that are throwing their hat in the arena that are promoting free college for everybody.
Yeah.
Now you trot these people out here.
Sure.
I mean, there's 2 stories that broke. There was one about pollution, saying basically pollution generated by white people. Now, seriously.
You were telling me about this.
This is a report that came out, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We're going racist with the atmosphere now? So they're basically saying that white people they pollute, and it impacts blacks and Hispanics. As if we don't share the same air, or the same water, or
the same neighborhood.
I mean, it's the stupidest, most ludicrous crap you'll ever hear. So now they're trotting up. So what they do, there's over 50 or more people that have been arrested or indicted, but they trot out the 2 prominent celebrities.
Yeah. Well, because they were the most prominent faces.
Well, they're Lily White, and they're big promoters of equality. Okay. So Lori Loughlin did this whole thing about equality on her shows, and they called her brave for doing all this, and then all of a sudden she gets caught, basically in this scandal.
Right.
And then what I think is funny, we were talking earlier, is I get Architectural Digest online, and this month when it came out, they had a folio on the William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman's vacation home. I thought that was like, they can't retract that; it's already out there. But
there's already your for sale sign going up.
Yeah, I mean,
potentially. Not really.
So it went from Architectural Digest to Sotheby's auction page. But yeah, it's funny because it's like, look, I mean, what they did is definitely wrong. I mean, it's a financial. So it boils down to a handful of dudes that are basically going and soliciting, saying, "Hey, look, we have these connections, we have this ability to make things happen." And you gotta remember, we live in an instant everything society.
Facilitators.
Yeah. And so they know people. They're handlers. I would call them, they probably would have been sports agents if it wasn't for this going on.
Yeah.
So you have them basically stacking a deck with people that will take a test for you. They'll Photoshop things for you. They'll basically give you a credentialized package to make you into an athlete that you never were.
Right.
And then they also negotiate and sway personnel at the collegiate level to put your kid in line ahead of other people. And I think, I don't know, I didn't get to verify it, but they were saying that Barack Obama's kids, actually they didn't name him, they named it Michelle Obama's kids.
Yeah, because
got preferential treatment into schools because of this.
Was it the tennis teacher at Harvard or something?
Mm-hmm.
Or
the
tennis coach.
Yeah, tennis coach. So that was one. A lot of these were like athletes in the sense of tennis and soccer.
Well, because like with
track,
with this Lori Loughlin kid was the particular thing about her situation was okay. She was already qualified to be accepted at Arizona State University, and further reading was her father that Mossimo Giannulli, the guy he designs all the Mossimo stuff that you see at Target,
right?
As he wanted her to be qualified for other institutions. That's sort of how the text message showed. So somehow or another, they were able to find an end, figure out what score she needed to make, and then found a way in by associating her with crew, which is the rowing, which I didn't even know on the West Coast they had that. I've only ever seen it in like Ivy League schools.
We actually, you can crew in Dallas and you can crew here in Houston too. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and even somebody brought up is you're gonna award her a scholarship that normally would go to somebody who is in crew. So this person's she's going to be the placeholder for a sport she does not even participate in.
Right.
So even when you're just looking at TV news, so you're gonna immediately see the reporter stick the microphone in the public's face and say, particularly a student, and everybody's going to see, hey, potentially somebody who used this system possibly took the place of the spot that I earned, and I kind of get that.
But it also will make you question anybody that got in ahead of you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now it's like it's basically jumbled everything.
Yes.
So now it's going to be like, so here's my thing. Affirmative actions. Okay. And lower grade standards to bring in a minority mix of people. Okay. That's just as unfair as this. Okay?
Yes.
It should be based on your merit and credit. Here's an example, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong here. So we know a lot of dudes that want to become Navy SEALs.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many of them went and got swim coaches and went to they went to trainers, CrossFit trainers?
You'll do the.
So they run you through all of it.
SEAL fit.
SEAL fit, right. But at the end of the day, they still have to qualify as a Navy SEAL in a Navy program.
SEAL fit is the only program I think I'm correct. Is the only one where if you go to talk to anybody within a naval spec ops, or special operations, that they will say that one probably more closely mirrors the program versus.
But you still have to make it through.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where this becomes a different story. This is now where the guys working on the inside are basically paying. And this is people, this is the world we live in. This happens in business. This happens everywhere. It's in religion. It's everywhere. Sports, politics. It's not what you know. It's who you know and who helps grease that wheel for you.
Right.
I don't care. I mean, you could be the smartest dude in the subject, but if they don't like you and you don't know the right people, you're not going to get a chance.
True.
You're not going to get that chance. So you are looking at basically fair and level playing ground, but we don't live in that world. We do not live in a world where merit does that. I mean, okay, so they rolled out all these documents on these people. Dude, Hillary Clinton has a mountain against her compared to this shit.
True.
I mean, dude, and nobody died in this pursuit like they did under her watch.
And technically, how I look at it is this whole controversy, I think in some way could lead back to like with Chelsea. Okay?
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
Did they
How did
pay
she
money?
Get her job? Yeah.
Did they pay money for her to get into some school because it would look good on on her resume?
Well, that was Sidwell Friends. So Sidwell Friends was this came up back when she was a kid, and all the president's kids go to this school called Sidwell Friends.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with how any of these circles work, it's funny because money follows money. That's just the way it is. Especially in politics, you have donors.
Oh yeah.
And you have mixers, and everybody gets together and says, "I know a dude that knows a dude that knows a dude that knows this person." That's how shit gets done.
Right.
Okay, where you cross the line is where you get guys that come in and introduce money into this deal, and they make fake profiles
and favors, everything, because there's expected favors and all that stuff.
So the gatekeepers. So this is where greed comes in, because the gatekeepers should have just shut this down.
Right.
It would have went away before it even became a thing. But there's too much money involved. I mean, some of these people, I'm looking at some of the entry packages between $200,000 to $500,000.
Right.
That's a lot of money, man. Well, that is a lot of money. Who's going to turn that down?
Well, with these particular people that were highlighted, at least locally. So you've got this Martin Fox and this Nikki Williams, who are Houston residents, and are involved in either. I know that this touches into AAU sports and even reaches into HISD, because either this Nikki Williams person is an HISD employee, or there's another unnamed person who's been put on administrative leave. So, but this Martin Fox dude, he's no stranger to controversy anyway, because he got in trouble with Adidas a few years back. And what I didn't realize is there was something I read last night where they said colleges don't control NCAA sports ticketing. Shoe companies do. And that's where I just had this kind of shocked look on my face. I was like, what? Not realizing. I mean, I never realized just how big a role they played.
Sure.
And then, now the finger pointing is going back to the presidents of the college are really because Oliver Luck's name popped up in this article. Yeah. And, there's a lot of prominent names that showed up.
They call it a catalog of wealth and privilege.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny. So I love the language that's coming out of these people now that are just going over the top with some of these descriptions. But what's funny is you're talking about shoe companies. So that's a hotbed of moral activity right there.
Yeah.
So we're going to pay kids 25 cents a day to make shoes.
My shoe was made by an 8-year-old.
And then charge $200 in the United States to sell those shoes. That again blows my mind. It's another thing. So every athlete out there, and the Triple Crown of sports, right?
Yeah.
The whole endorsement.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff like from Jerry Maguire,
yes,
right?
Show me the money.
Show me the money, that stuff. And there's enough documentary type series on how sports agency works.
Oh, yeah.
And how the interaction between athletes and the dollar works.
Right.
And it's just, man, here's the thing. This is only the tip of the iceberg. They're picking on this group here, but that's how the government works. That's how contracting works. I mean, the best part of movies is that art does imitate life in many ways. There was a movie years ago called Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And he goes back to college and he's in this professor's class talking about building a factory to make widgets.
It's in my to-be queue right now.
And he goes, the guy's listing off all the things he does, and he goes, "Oh, you're missing half the points." And he goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, first of all, you got to talk to the union guys. You got to grease their palms. Then you got to talk to the environment. You got to talk to the waste people. I don't think you know who owns that business."
Right.
I mean, so he's talking about all the bribery and graft that goes on in
he's just that teacher was just presenting how business works in a book.
Yeah, in a book. But when you do hit the street, it's a lot different. I can tell you from being in the corporate side of industrial food sales, it's not as bad, but it is relationship driven. Because I've never ever, and I've done some big multi-million-dollar deals, I have never, ever offered a bribe or was asked for a bribe. Okay? So there are some places where the companies will put their foot down on that. Where they may make some concessions would be how much they contribute to regulatory issues behind closed doors. But I can tell you, in commodity negotiation, at least I have not seen it, you can take them to dinner, you can take them to a ball game, you can take them to entertainment venues, things like that. But there was never once any time where there was ever an envelope of money going from A to Z like you see here. No text, no emails, things like that. But I don't know, it's just weird. $200,000 to $6.5 million these people paid. That's crazy.
Because I think that the total that I saw last night was $25 million had passed hands, and I think that was only attributed to this Martin Fox dude or this Mickey Williams and those were the three.
Were you talking Singer, Rick?
Williams, you would have Singer communicating with Fox, and then Fox communicating with this Nicky Williams. Oh, and there's a Rydell person involved in this because the Rydell guy was actually a test proctor and or a guy who was actually correcting the mistakes.
So there's two of them. There's one in Tampa, and there's one in West Hollywood.
Okay.
And there may have been other places, but these are the ones that this particular witness gave authorities.
Okay.
Now, what's funny about the one in Tampa, I was just talking to a friend of mine today, and her best friend's neighbors with the guy that in their condo in Tampa that was the one doing the testing. The test tampering.
I wonder
it didn't give his name. She said the name, but I don't want to say it because I don't want anything to do that.
Well,
but anyway,
the names they've already appeared in publications.
If they're published, I will say it, but I won't say it because you never know.
Sure.
But anyway, so that's her neighbor, and she said she was at home when the doors got knocked on, which I think is funny.
Wow.
But yeah, so they would just basically, like you said, either correct the test or just take it for you. Now, I will tell you, one of my best friends was a collegiate athlete. Well, actually, several of them were, but this one in particular. They had a thing called work study. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So he would basically go eat lunch and get paid to eat lunch.
What?
Yeah.
Is this in college?
Yeah, college. He was a really good basketball player.
Okay.
And so he would and he went from school to school in the 4 years that he was there.
Okay.
And I don't think he's ever been in one school any more than 1 year. And it's funny because they have work study. And so basically he would go get paid to eat lunch. Okay. And you see this shit on 30 on 30 all the time on ESPN where they talk about athletes that have basically, 30 on 30 is great. They did one on the Miami Hurricanes. Oh my God, that was like Crime Inc. Man.
Who are the characters that do 30 on 30?
At ESPN, I don't know
are there particular people that do it, or is it?
It's just a production.
Oh, okay.
And they do stories on these athletic programs, and these were during the Jimmy Johnson years. Get the one on Miami Hurricanes because that is because they were sitting there saying, well, you know, these athletes, they don't make any money, but the college and the television makes all the money off of them. So why wouldn't they go steal stuff? It was about when they were breaking into cars.
Oh, I have heard that out.
And I'm like, dude, that logic is so flawed, man. It's like so flawed.
Why wouldn't they? So you're gonna give them a pass?
Yeah, basically, because it's a pass. And it's really sad because athletes get a pass. I don't care. Get mad at me, comment, call me a dick, whatever you want. Athletes, if you're really good and you're going to generate revenue, you're going to get a pass. But I will also tell you, so will a good salesman. You get a good salesman and he can get away with basically murder. But if he's generating revenue, they're going to do everything they can to protect that golden cow or that golden goose that's laying the egg, or sacred cow.
Right.
And so that's the allergy medicine messing with me there. But you'll get these people that will just move through the system. You spend more money protecting them than they're worth, and then you cut them loose when something bad happens. Look at violence in sports. We've talked about this before with professional football. Okay, it's the same thing. A lot of these guys go through the system. This program is probably modeled off of that. It was just taken over to the civilian level. Yeah,
I was going to say Ray Lewis probably doesn't feel.
Yeah. You know, you sit there. I mean, from where I'm looking at it, that was my side of it. Is this model basically looks like to me when it's been used with athletes for years.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. There's some scholarly athletes out there.
Sure.
But there's a lot that are not.
No.
Okay.
It does kind of make me wonder. So, you know, I guess when they start dissecting this to figure out, you know, hey, what went wrong? How do we fix it? Because as far as I'm concerned, the fix is like years down the road. Is number one is you have to weed out all these bad apples that were involved, because once this mechanism now has been discovered, they've got to come up with another mechanism, because people are always parents or somebody who's trying to get their child or loved one into a significant university or school. They're gonna do anything they can to make sure that happens, whether society agrees with them or not.
Right. Well, yeah, no doubt for sure. And this is a real simple model. It's only two-pronged. One way was to cheat or manipulate on the SATs or the ACT test. And the second one was to use their connections with coaches and to use bribes to get people in.
Right.
That's pretty straightforward. That's really cut and dried. I think that's easy to head off now. And you'll see that. You'll see, I mean, I don't know. It's going to morph into something else because people are just going to be people. Yeah. I mean, and with people, when they have money and you're dealing with people that don't have money, they're always going to want to take your money. And they're going to do things in hopes that they don't get caught. And I don't know. This to me is one of the best smoke screens you can throw out there right now. To me, it's like this story will get people buzzing because Lori Loughlin, they just headlined today. She got fired from Hallmark Channel.
Right.
You know, because she did these shows where she was Miss Morals and Miss Proper. Well, you know what? She probably is Miss Morals and Miss Proper. Okay? She had a bad day with this one, okay? Honestly, the guy made a good pitch and she helped her kid get ahead. I mean, I'm not saying what she did was right, but she had the means to get her kid where she needed to get her kid.
Right.
Okay. And how many politicians have we not heard of that do this shit all the time? During Vietnam, how about the kids that...
Yeah.
I mean, my God. I mean, this goes back to Vietnam, where I used my political advantage to get my son out of the draft and into school.
Okay, so no, we'll say our current president, Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. So people will say, you know, he got bone spurs and that was the reason why, or he got the rider that basically excused him from service. I'm not going to say whether that's right or wrong. Okay. Me personally, having served, I would say that was fucking bullshit.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that went there because people were handing in paperwork that basically forgave them from having to do any kind of military service.
Sure. No, I agree. And I think that the political favor is always there. And it's never going to go away. Because people are always trying to upgrade their life or upgrade their game. And they want to upgrade their relationship and the people they know and their ability to earn money and their exposure to the world, their celebrity world, or whatever you want to call it. It happens in every community. That's why you have organizations. Fraternal organizations are the same way.
Right.
It's the same way. I mean, if you're a poor kid from the street, okay, you're less likely to fit into an affluent group of people.
Yeah, just don't relate.
It does. Yeah, the worlds are completely different. Doesn't make you any less. I will tell you, I admire the guy that comes from the bottom of the pile and excels and out achieves everybody else. I don't think that's a bad thing. No. I think that's a badge of honor you should wear because you did earn that.
Yes.
Now, in many cases, in this one here, where they're saying that, well, how many students were held back that actually deserved it because this person with privilege took their place? Now, therein lies the crime. Because then you have violated equal opportunity laws. Okay? You've violated a lot of financial laws. Racketeering, conspiracy, money laundering, conspiracy to defraud the government and obstruct justice. I mean, those are all things the tools that make these programs like that work.
Right.
When the kid is raised by a single parent, I mean, take Ben Carson, for example. The only reason why I bring his name up is because that's one of the most prominent stories where he was raised by a single mother
right.
in a very rough neighborhood.
Was it Detroit?
I think it was, or something, one of those really tough neighborhoods. It was, I mean, and honestly, I give it to any mom, any mom that can take a child, a male child, a female child, whatever it is in this world.
Any single parent.
Yeah, in this world that can keep them in line and make them become successful.
Right.
Now, granted, they maybe not make them become successful, but they have stayed with them and didn't quit on them and forced that kid through the hardships of learning and sacrifice to then get a big reward at the end of it.
So I will say this, okay, and this is sort of a shout out to my ex-girlfriend. So she was a single mom and she had 100% custody of her daughter. And she instilled a no quit attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so her daughter went on to, excelled at and was on the dean's list, the honor roll in every school that she moved through in our local school district.
Right.
And now she's a 6-figure lawyer up in last I heard she was up in Chicago.
Yeah.
Very successful. So, she freaking busted her ass and nobody, she said she wouldn't quit on anything.
Right.
So,
that's good. That's what this world needs more of. But a lot of people,
parenting.
They do. They take the shortcut. They have the money. They take the shortcut. I don't know. I like I said, this is to me, and I've said it twice already, but it's a big smoke screen. That's all this is. This is just to get your eyes away from what's going on, and to get your eyes away from what the government's doing or what they're trying to do.
Right.
Because we have a gaggle of morons in there right now. I have been listening to a few of these, and I'm not going to sit here and name names because I'm not going to take anybody's shit for picking on somebody.
Right.
You know who they are, okay? They have no business. When does a freshman congressperson or a senator get put on significant committees. I mean, especially when they
high profile
committees.
Oh my God!
Especially when they don't have any workplace experience, none whatsoever. I mean, we're getting these people now that are, and this lends to the story, popularity contests and elections. Okay, it's the same thing. We're now looking away from qualified people that share values.
We know that that our local boy.
Don't say that. I don't even want to give that asshole. I don't want to give that guy. I heard that this morning.
Yes.
As I was taking my morning shit, I dedicated it to him because I just couldn't even win in his own backyard. What makes you think he's going to win anything else? But anyway, you can never count it out because they'll cheat like a son of a bitch to get whoever they want in there, and that's the thing. And we sit back and tolerate it. So we're going to eviscerate these actresses and all these people involved in this I call it low profile scandal.
Right.
But then we let Hillary get away with what she gets away with. We let all these senators and congressmen get away with what they get away with. But then we're going to come raining down on these two white ladies because they represent
and the
evil hate. Yeah.
The other unnamed 29 people.
They're
not posting the pictures of.
Right. Well, it's because they're Hollywood actresses. That's why, and they get the highest profile. Yeah. And it's easier to take more shit away from them than it is because a lot of those people that are on the other side, it's just financial. But these people will lose public face. And that's the sad part about it. But anyway, I don't know. We gotta end this on a happy note, though. We gotta talk about something nice. So when we were trolling through the internet, we were talking about perception, and we were talking about how people get things done through social media. And we found a story about it's called The Sad Donut Shop Dad.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was a great story. It was a father. I don't even remember what city they were in, but they built a brand new donut shop, a brand new business. And they were open for like a week or so, and nobody was coming in. And so it was kind of looking, that's the kind of business you got to start turning money in really quick. Yeah. So the son basically went to Twitter. He took a picture of his dad looking sad behind the counter and blasted it out just to the world. And the world responded. They all showed up. They had people lined out the door for this business. And that just goes to show you that there is still some good, in the world. With all the bad these people are doing around us and all the stuff, you have a son that wanted to help his father get his business going, and I thought that was an incredible thing. I mean, it was just
that's an awesome story.
It is. I mean, this is again because we hear of all the bad people. There's many, many good people doing many good things out there, and I would just say just sit down, hold tight, because 2019 and 2020 is going to be a crazy fucking year.